think of the two newest additions to the passing game in terms of pass catchers?
Yeah, both those guys came on a visit here, and got to know them over basically 24 hours, eating dinner, and put them on the board, and just getting to know the guys. So first and foremost, we always talk about the person, and I thought we got two tremendous guys that are just going to be great fits and assets to our building. We've been taking out, like I said, the football part. The character was there, and on the visit, we could just feel that it was going to be a great fit for the Green Bay receiver way. And we're excited as can be about both of them, collectively as a staff and the management upstairs, and they did a good job figuring out kind of what we were looking for in a guy and the needs, and I feel like we got both the guys that we wanted.
You guys obviously had some issues with drops last year. How do these guys catch it?
Yeah, they catch the ball great. Matthew, early in his career, I think at Houston, year one compared to year three, at Texas where he finished, has been tremendous growth. And everybody's going to talk about, well, they just go off of like stat lines of just drops. Well, what I look for is like, well, what were the drops? Why were the drops? Did you take your eyes off it? Or are you a natural catcher? There's a lot of reasons why that could occur. But, when they came on visits, when I was with Savion, we sat down and watched about 6 of them. And just through the process, I just asked, well, why did you drop these? Well, 3 of them I rushed my head and eyes. Okay, the other 3 were just tracking the ball. So there's things that everybody has to work on, throughout the process. But like I said to guys all the time, it's only a weakness if you don't work at it to make it a strength. But if you put in the work, you can change all the things that you need to get better at. And I think, like I said, we got the guys first, and I'm really excited about them and just as being workers, and like I said, fitting our way, man, representing the G.
You brought quite a few rookie receivers into your system over the last few years. What's the toughest part of that adjustment to this level at that position?
Yeah, the biggest thing I would say is obviously the playbook. Right? I mean, majority of college teams probably are maybe a third of the playbook, maybe even a fourth. They're more about going fast all the time. Some of the receivers only stay on one side of the field. So there's just an adjustment with that. And then the next biggest thing is actually the fundamentals. A lot of these guys just make up for maybe fundamentals at times, just their athletic traits, which is great, but at the NFL level, that's usually not going to result into, success over time. So you really got to hone in from stance and start that I'm going to work. It's going to take them, it might take a guy 3 months, 6 months to really feel comfortable out there and be elite at a stance and start, not just, be slow off the rock. You could run a 4.39 at the combine, but you're not in that stance on the field. Right, and they're just working releases and just all those fundamentals, and it's a day-by-day grind for them. It's a lot of hours they got to put in, in the building and on their own. And some guys, like I've said before, it takes them 3 months, 6 months, 3 years, before they hit their full stride. And then if they're not there yet, you usually just tag them on plays until they get there with their growth.
You've got a lot of young guys in that room now that are all vying for that second contract. From a business side, how do you manage the egos and make sure everyone kind of has a part of it?
Yeah, period, in a receiver room in any position I've ever been in, I want guys who want the ball. If they're not the game on the line when the ball has to be in the air and they're not mad that it didn't go to them, then we got the wrong guy. I want guys who have trained, believed in themselves, and are competitive greatness to the point where when the game is on the line in front of all of Lambeau and everyone watching, you are that guy, right? That's what Devontae became. He wasn't at year 1 or 2. You work at it, and then you become that. So I tell our guys, I want all of you guys to get your second contract, whether it's here or somewhere, right? And if our whole building is pushing in the same direction, all the guys, I want them to have success in life. I want them to have 10-year careers where they're both financially and, numerically successful. That's what my job is of a coach. So I'm going to push them all the same at every time. And, I've always said it before, you get what you earn. No more, no less, just the laws of compensation of what you're going to get. It usually works out that way in this league.
With Jaden, he was so productive the first half of the season. Then the second half, his numbers at least seemed to dip a little bit. What did you see as kind of the reason for that, and what's it going to take for him to put together a full season like what we saw the first month or two?
Yeah, sometimes stats, aren't always on the player. They could be on us too, as a coaching staff, whether maybe Josh Jacobs just had a 32-carry game. It's not his fault. Or the ball didn't go his way, dictated by the coverage. And you can get him the ball in certain ways, but there's going to be some games that just didn't go that way. There's a couple injuries throughout the time that were nothing like that he had to miss a lot of games, but he was banged up a little bit too, and he's the type of tough guy who's going to play through everything. I remember 2 years ago in Minnesota, he had to leave the game in halftime to go to the emergency room because, whatever, coughing up blood. But he was fighting through it. He said he didn't want to come out and he wanted to play. I just think he's one of those warrior types that is going to do everything for his team and himself to be on the field. And like I said, it's not all on him. He has worked tremendously. He's, I think, in my mind, the strongest, most powerful he said he's ever been in his life. When he came in here a couple years ago, I think he was like 185. Now he's at like 199 of just your body changes if you eat right and live right. And he has. And I think probably the biggest growth too is the way his leadership's been right now. I really want to commend him because he's standing behind Matthew Golden right now, helping him out with every single play. He's going over with Miko Hardman, who just got here, and he is the one guy right now that I feel all our guys are the brotherhood strong right now, but he is I'm going out of my way because he's a natural leader and he always has been. I think everybody has always said that from Michigan State, to his high school days. He's a natural leader. He's a driven person who's a winner on and off the field, and I think being that genuine person is going to just, good things are going to happen for him.